Habibi, come to Dubai!
In the last 10 years, I have been helping buyers, sellers, and investors in the real estate market in Miami. Now it's time for a new frontier, Dubai. Follow me in this new venture of being a real estate agent in Dubai and in Miami.
Good morning, everyone. Today is my birthday, and my birthday represents to me the real New Year. Right? This is the moment that I complete a full circle around, a full lap around the sun. And in this January 4th, I completed it for the 40th time. It's very funny because when I was a kid, I would look people that were 40 and they were freaking old. Like they were super old, they were getting retired. And I feel like my life is just beginning. I've been reflecting on my last years, and if we break down into decades, the first decade is, you are actually having a life of 4 or 5 years, because until you're 5 you're doing nothing, and then you start going to school and you start meeting people and things like that. So the first 10 years of your life is super fun, and then from 10 to 20, let's break it down into from 10 to 15, life starts to get more interesting because now you're having friends, you're starting to like girls, you're going to school like more advanced, so you kind of start feeling like a person until you're 15. From 15 to 20 you start thinking about the big decisions you need to do with your life, right? I got my girlfriend when I was, my first girlfriend when I was 16, start driving when I was 18, enter university when I was 19, so you start thinking about, what I'm going to do with my life. And my 15 to 20s were super cool. I party a lot. I never did drugs, and I will never do drugs. I do drink, but not to the point to become an alcoholic, but I never had the need to do drugs, and I'm very grateful for that. I'm very proud of that, because a lot of people from my generation think that drugs are just something natural that you need to do, and I don't, and I never enter in that spiral, and I'm very grateful for my parents for that. And during that period of the 15 to 20, I started thinking what I'm going to do with my life, what kind of university, what kind of studies I'm going to take. I got my first job coming into college. I got my first job. So this second half of our second decade in this life, in this plan, was very eventful. When we turned 20, I was finishing university. I think I was 22, 23 when I finished university, I guess. So now you kind of start feeling like, I opened my first company, got fired for the first time, and I said this is going to be the last time I'm going to be fired, because I'm never going to work for someone else ever in my life. And that happened most of the time. I was an entrepreneur, except when I sold my company to work for another one, and when I was a teacher, but in both companies I quit. I didn't get fired. So I opened my first company, got my degree, and start working very seriously on my things. But I still think that on my 20s I was taking a massive amount of risk that hurt me financially, emotionally a lot, but also made me tougher for other things in life. I got married in my 30s, so now going into 30s, I got married, I moved to another country, I moved to the US, and those 10 years of my life were very intense. In 2014, when I was completing 30, I did my first Ironman triathlon, I got married, and I start a transition to the US. I traveled to the US for the first time in October, and in the next year I was moving to the US. There I built 2 buildings. I built 12 affordable single-family homes, 2 luxury mansions, and in that period I opened a company, my partner left. I opened another company with 2 other partners. I developed that company, and in 2020, when COVID came, I got into depression. I got into almost bankruptcy, like I lost everything, and that was already in the end. Like 2020 was 4 years ago, so I was 36. So this second half of my 30s were very tough because I was broke, I was broken inside, and I finally met Maria, and I think she was one of the reasons, or the most important reason, that I could get out of all of the stuff or start building. But I still had something in me that was not allowing me to move forward. So that second half of my 30 years, so that's how the second half of my 30 years went. And at the last year of my 30s, I moved countries. Again, I moved to Dubai. So now I'm living between Dubai and Miami because I'm still a US resident. And here in Dubai, this first year that we passed through was very hard, but was very good also because opened our mind. And now that I am, I don't know, 40? Now that I'm 40, it feels like everything is coming into place. I am more sure of what I am and what I want. And it's very easy for us to compare ourselves to other people, but in the end, everybody has their own time to figure it out, own time to be mature, and their own time to start. I think our generation is going to live 100, 120 years easily, so it feels like 40 is just the beginning. I'm very excited for this new chapter in my career and my life, and I think it's going to be great. I want to make this decade the best decade of my life. So let's see how I get to the 50s, because the 40s are going to be nice. The 30s were tough. The 20s were fun. This is where life begins.